It's terrific to be here. My name is Rod Brooks, and I am the Chief Marketing Officer for a regional, very small, but regional insurance carrier, personal lines insurance carrier called PEMCO Insurance. We're based in Seattle, Washington, and for 65 years we've served the state of Washington. We thought really bold a couple years ago and moved across that thing called the Columbia River, and now we're in Washington, Oregon. I'm getting some feedback too. My Twitter handle is @Northwest Marketing Guy. That happened in 2007. I was one of the first people in our area to get on Twitter, and I didn't know that underscores and abbreviations were two of the cardinal sins. But I'm not going to change it. Too many followers to change it. So anyway, that's how you find me. And of course, remember today's hashtag is Integrate15. And I'm really excited to be here and to follow Paul, who talked about the right things to measure, the importance of data. And as I was listening, I was thinking, and then you're going to hear from the ready, fire, aim guy. The ready, fire, aim guy, where sometimes there just isn't time, and you have to move. And integrated marketing can be real and important and useful, even when all the data isn't there to support what you want to do. Let's talk about two Super Bowls in this presentation. And this is really going to be a story more than a lesson. You hope that you take the lessons from the story. We're going to talk about two Super Bowls, and we'll start with the first one. We call it the Power of 12 because in, what was it? It was in 1984, 8 plus 4 is 12, that the Seahawks retired the number 12 jersey to honor the 12th man. The men and women of fans in the stand, and it took 12 seconds to score a touchdown in the first half of Super Bowl 48. Oh, by the way, Super Bowl 48, 4 plus 8 is 12. It was Super Bowl 48. The number of seconds it took to score a touchdown in the second half, kickoff return, Percy Harvin, 12 seconds. The number of playoff wins in Seahawk franchise history, 12. The number of points we scored, 43. 4 times 3 is 12. Yeah, you're getting it. Russell Wilson threw for 206 yards. That happens to be Seattle's area code. 2 times 6 is 12. Minutes left in the first half when Marshawn Lynch scored, 12. Exactly. On Saturday, prior to the game, Walter Jones, perennial All-Pro, had played for the Seahawks, inducted into the Hall of Fame. He'd played for us for 12 years. Like this one, Peyton Manning, prior to that game, 12 playoff losses. CenturyLink Field, where we play, was 12 years old prior to that Super Bowl. And the best part, the victory parade, was on February 5th, 2014. 2 plus 5 plus 1 plus 4, 12. So that's probably why the first Super Bowl came out the way it did. And then there was that one little play at the end of the second one. But wanted to set you up for that. Now let's talk about winning. You know, it took our company a long time to sit down and agree amongst our executive team and then the rest of the company to figure out what winning really was. And you know, like in order to win championships, you have to have an understanding of what the scoreboard is, the data. You have to know what to watch for, what to measure. And in our case, we defined winning as sustained, profitable growth of households, something everybody can say, sustained, profitable growth of households. We looked at our business model. This comes right out of one of those 80s books. I think it might have been Good to Great or In Search of Excellence, where it says you can win in a business model in one of 3 ways, but all 3 things are critically important. You can lead with customer intimacy. We call it Northwest relationships. You can lead with operational efficiency. Some people would call that the low price model. Or you can lead with product innovation. And we all know companies that do all 3. You know, a Nordstrom's is about relationship. A Walmart might be about operations. A Sony or an Apple might be about product innovation. You can change the order of the rings, but you do need to know what comes first. We also took a look at our mission. We said, you know what? It's about our why. Why do we exist? Every day, we enable and protect the dreams of responsible Northwest people. So we're not in the insurance business, we're in the dream protection business. the dream enablement business. And our vision is boiled down to just 3 words. PEMCO gets it. It has to be in the voice of the customer, though. We can't say it. We can't print that t-shirt. We have to wait. Because when the public says, hey, PEMCO gets it, and it is whatever they want it to be. All right. PEMCO is a challenger brand. And if you think about what it means to be a challenger brand, it means that you're smaller, usually, not always. It means that you might be with less resources. You need to be more nimble. You need to be more flexible. You have to be willing to take measured risks. And if all you have is a box of rocks, you need more precision in your aim. Well, that's where PEMCO is. If in this story of David and Goliath, if PEMCO's the David, then people like Progressive and Geico and State Farm and Farmers and Allstate, they're the Goliaths. They're the Goliaths. And they've got an infinite amount of resource compared to what this Northwest insurance carrier has. I understand a lot of you might have family businesses, you might be in small businesses, you might be thinking about an entrepreneurial opportunity, and you'll be a challenger brand, at least for a while. To accentuate the point, in 2009, Advertising Age published a cover story with the likes of Flo and Mayhem and the Gecko and all the other cast of characters, because they had spent $4 billion in 2009, billion, in marketing and advertising. And just to give you an idea, our total budget for our Northwest company, including payroll, was $10 million. $4 billion, $10 million. Okay, $10 million sounds like a lot until you think about $4 billion. Well, fast forward to 2013, and nothing's changed. It's now $6 billion. And nothing's changed. We're still spending about $10 million. So we have to find a place to compete as a challenger brand. This chart just shows in the property and casualty space. When I joined the company, it was 1999, which, by the way, is a little bit unusual for a chief marketing officer to be anywhere for 15 years. But this is what's happened over that period of time. And just in one example, just the biggest guy, Geico, spends nearly 3 times as a percentage of revenue what the rest of the industry and or PEMCO spends. So just to give you a perspective of what it means to be a challenger brand and what we're up against. Now this is interesting. It kind of foots with some of the measures that we heard earlier today. That 86% of consumers, 86% believe that despite all that advertising, companies are untruthful in their advertising. In 2007, and a little earlier than that, when the financial markets melted down, the best thing we could do is get our CEO away from the message, because CEOs were the least believable people. Okay, companies and their advertising, and a lot of it was trained for things like this. I mean, you know, it's not just big financial markets. You know, there's the one you see advertised, and there's the one you get. There's the one you see advertised, and there's the one you get. It's true of all of it. It doesn't have to be Taco Time, and it doesn't have to be Taco Bell or Burger King. But we don't get what we see often. 92%, on the other hand, trust in customer recommendations, word of mouth. I didn't mention that I had served for 6 years as on the board of the Word of Mouth Marketing Association, and for 2 of those years as chairman, and learned a lot about what could be done and what should be done, both ethically and to move the needle. And ratings and reviews was a big important part of that. 70% of people trust ratings and reviews, even from people they've never met. Even from people they've never met. A friend or family member is great, but someone you've never met is just as trusted. If that story was going to run today, I want to submit that it should look more like this, without the faces of Flo and Mayhem and the Gecko, and with the voice of the customer breaking through. It's what the customer says that we really, really pay attention to. It trumps the voice of the brand. we have moved. We've moved from an age of interruption to the age of engagement. We've moved from a passive consumer to an active consumer. That age of interruption was when we sat back passively and waited for the commercials. We didn't really wait, but they were thrust upon us. Now the news that is important to us finds us. The messages, as was said earlier, are sought before the transaction is entered into. The voice of the customer is heard in all kinds of opportunities. Again, back in 2007, this little company in the Northwest said, we can't compete with that billions of dollars. We can't keep up. Share of brand voice was not going to be our metric for success. We couldn't drive to the top 3, to the top 2, to the top 1 like we had been moving any longer. We had to get inside. We had to be in the hearts and minds of the people who lived with us. We did the research. We did some ethnographic research, very, very deep for us. Went into the houses of 200 residents, 100 customers, 100 non-customers, and we didn't tell them who was doing the research. It was a double-blind research where they went. One person went in and said, "We'll give you $250 if you'll just visit with us. Tell us what's on your mind." And we set that up, and the research brought out all kinds of nuggets of gold that were opportunistic. But one of them that when you put it all together said, the people of the Northwest said, and this may be true in this neck of the woods too, and any other place, I'm not sure, we didn't do the research there, but they said, show me that you know me in ways that others don't. You can't say locally owned and operated. You can't say based in the Northwest. You can't say founded by a school teacher who was in this local district. That's all fine, but it's not the evidence that they wanted. They said, prove it. And I'm not going to go into this story, but I am going to tell you that the way we decided to prove it was to create a campaign that has now become part of our brand platform that says, you know what? You don't want to talk about insurance. You want us to prove that we know you. Well, we do. We know you wear socks with your sandals. We know you camp under a blue tarp. We know that you are a flawless firewood stacker. We know that you are a super long coffee orderer. We know all this. So we personified 50 different individuals of the Northwest who have those traits. And we have everything in that story, from trading cards to television to commercials to billboards. It's been exceptional. In fact, it is no longer a campaign. It's part of who we are. So this story continues with the Super Bowl with that backdrop. I'm going to share with you one of the Northwest profiles. Northwest profile number 12, a supercharged Seahawks fan.
For many, Sunday is a day of rest. But for this man, that's what the rest of the week is for.
PEMCO Insurance presents Northwest Profile number 12, Supercharged Seahawks Fan.
On game day, nothing is half done. When he tailgates, he does it 5 hours early. He's eating 5 different meats before 10 a.m. His cheer's a wail that renders the audibles completely inaudible. He's a 5-yard false start, 67,000 fan high five just waiting to happen. It's 150%, 150% of the time. So what? It's an 11-man team. To him, Sunday is about taking it to 12. Supercharged Seahawks fan, you're one of us. And you deserve an insurance company as colorful and committed as you are. A local company that knows loyalty is more than skin deep. Call 1-800-GO-PEMCO, see your local PEMCO agent, or visit PEMCO.com. PEMCO, we're a lot like you, a little different. PEMCO Mutual Insurance Company, Seattle, Washington.
A lot like you, a little different. And you can't just introduce the campaign and run the spot. You have to live it. We've done a lot of things in living it. We've created contests where people had to show us how they were proud to be a 12. It was like an essay or a sign contest. We had an in-stadium event where a part of the stadium is called the Nest, and we had people send photos to Instagram and to their Facebook pages to be the best of the Nest. And for that, they won prizes. And this year, we created, on the backs of the popularity of the loudness of CenturyLink Field, the volume, we created a Yelfie booth. Not a selfie booth, but a Yelfie booth. It's a soundproof booth that you can go in and for 10 seconds scream your lungs out. And we captured it on slow motion video that was then put out to Vimeo, and you could go and move that around. We saw who was the loudest, and we issued prizes. We had the what do we call that? The Yell of Fame, I think it was. Yes. And would you like to see what a slow motion video of someone in the Yelfie booth looks like? Good, because it's the next slide. Notice in the corner, the decibels are being recorded. Now here's the best part. She was going for 120. She made it to 117, and to be the best, she had to make it to 120, I guess. But you can see as I tell this story, and you think about what's he talking about integrated marketing. Well, so far we've talked about events, face-to-face. We've talked about in stadium. We've had broadcast. We've had Vimeo. We're using the tools and integrating across the platform, and we're not spending billions. We're not spending billions. In order to make that happen, you have to have a culture in your organization that allows it to happen. This guy in the middle is our CEO. This is what our corporate headquarters lobby looked like on Blue Fridays before the playoffs, as we led up to the playoffs. Because to be it on the outside, you have to live it on the inside. I don't care what they teach you in marketing class. If you are working for an organization that doesn't get it, then all of that you want to bring to the party is going to be like pushing that proverbial rope uphill. It's going to be tough. But find that organization that has those values, or help yourself change those so that you can be it on the inside. We have a great big time and temperature clock on our building that's become a local landmark on the freeway. But for these days, it was 12 degrees all day long. It was 12-12 all day long. Because it was the Seahawks playing. PEMCO gets it. We had former player go up on the roof and raise the flag. But he didn't go up alone. He went up with Meow Sean Lynch. He went up with Wilson, the horse of a different color. And we had him up on the roof. And we're raising the flag. So let's go back 2 games. I'll tell you how this all started. The week before Super Bowl 48, we knew we had one more game to win. We were going to play the San Francisco 49ers in the NFC Championship game. And we knew, because the Seahawks told us, we're a sponsor, that if we win, you will get 2 to 4 Super Bowl tickets for your use as a sponsor. Do with them what you would like. And we have to buy them. And so we didn't know where they were going to be, how much they were going to cost. So I told my team, I said, if this happens, if we actually win this game, we got to have something next week. See how we can leverage those 2 tickets. See how we can leverage those. Sunday comes, I happen to be a season ticket holder. I go to the game, I'm in the game, we're coming down to the wire, and something like this takes place.
Shotgun for Cameron, takes a step, looks, fires near side, going for the end zone, ball back, he got it after it. Is it picked up? Is it picked up? It is! It's picked up in the end zone! The Seahawks intercept in the end zone! Richard Sherman tips it! Malcolm Smith picks it up in the end zone! Intended in the far corner! The Seahawks are going to run this baby down! We are going to New Jersey!
So there we are. We're standing in the stadium. We won the game. We've got tickets coming our way, and we've got 2 weeks before the Super Bowl. What are we going to do? We don't have a plan. We don't have a plan, but we're a challenger brand. We had to decide first, are we going to engage or sit this one out? Really? No, we're all in. We're all in. So, he's holding the trophy for the NFC Championship game over his head, and we start planning. And within a day, the team came back to me and said, do whatever you want with the tickets, we don't want to use them. I said, why is that? Well, because when you have 2 tickets, and it's 2 weeks before the Super Bowl, and it's in New Jersey, and you're in Seattle, and you don't have airfare, and you don't have hotel rooms, and everybody who enters is going to be a loser except one person, and oh, by the way, anybody can give away a ticket. Anybody. They said, we got a better idea. We want to engage our community and do something special. We'd like to get 12,000 signatures on a giant banner and fly it around the city and over the Super Bowl in just a few days. So 5 days of planning. Then we went for 4 days and we had signings at events. We had our maiden flight on January 30th. We flew it over the Super Bowl on February 1st and 2nd, and the team thought, we're done. It was great. And then we sat down and said, no, we're not done. There's going to be a victory parade. Get that banner back to Seattle. Let's fly it over the victory parade. And the team said, that was great. Are we done? I said, no. They're going to run a Super Bowl flag up over the top of that stadium on opening day next year. Let's get that flag ready to fly opening day again. And all of this took 12 days from concept to flight. It was a good year. It was a good year. And that was an important year. It was a landmark year. It was a foundational year. That was the video that I shared before I came down the steps that talked about when we won. But it happened again. And we were behind by 10 points with under 2.5 minutes to go against Green Bay. 5 miracles happened. I won't share them with you. If you missed the game, you missed a great one. But at overtime, it's 22-22.
Russell takes the snap, drops back. He's going to throw down the middle. He's got the man. Caught. Touchdown. The game is over. The Seahawks are going back to the Super Bowl in Glendale.
And it's the power of 12 again. What are we going to do this time? And I had told the team this time, we can't get away with doing that again. We can't do it again. The first time was fantastic. But we can't do it again. Come up with a better idea. Come up with a bigger idea. And they thought about it for the 12 hours that I gave them. And I thought about it. And when they came up, they said, yeah, we're going to do it again. But we're going to do it bigger and bolder. I want to show you what they did.
Keep it right, we keep it cool because that's how 12s do it.
have to ask, have any of you ever been to Seattle? Okay, so maybe you kind of got a feel for it. It's in the blood out there, and it's not too different than probably what's out here with your Steelers. But the thing I wanted to say is, this, if I'm not mistaken, Reed College of Media, right? Are there any people in the room that are interested in videography? Yeah? Well, it's my shout out to the videographers. It's a shout out to marketers, is that nothing can be done with video as content if you don't shoot video. Okay? You have to shoot it to use it. It was one of the things that I credit our team with from the very beginning. They came to me and they said, we don't know what we're going to do with it, but we need to shoot it. And we did, and it was some of the very best content. It was some of the best stuff that was picked up and used. It was part of the reason for what I'm going to show you in a few seconds as to how come content spread. So don't forget the traditional. Don't forget the mainstays. Don't forget videography and still photography and the written word as we get into all of the social concepts. Oops, what are we doing here? I don't want to see it twice. There we go. So for example, that particular video after the fact, in just a few days, had 436,000 people reached. That's that little company up in the Northwest. All these metrics are very important measures of success, but it wouldn't have happened if we wouldn't have shot the video. So let's get into the planning a little bit. First of all, when I go back to Ready, Fire, Aim, Dude, we have all the data that said, hey, this is what the people are going to want. No, we had to say, we live here with you. It's part of why we want you to know we get it. Where you live, work, and learn and play is where we live, work, learn, and play. We know the pulse of this market. We know that everyone, even if they weren't football fans, but for those next few weeks, we're going to be rabid Seahawk fans, or married to one. And so we had to be fast and decisive. We had to decide between, would this be a new event or would we improve on the one we had done the year before? We decided to improve. You notice that flag, that was 12,000 square feet. Literally, 12,000 square feet, bigger than the first one. We didn't pull it with a Cessna, we pulled it with a helicopter. It's what it took to get it off the ground. Would we own or rent the events that we got the signatures from? Well, we couldn't own them. First we thought, well, we should own it. We should create an event and have everybody come. But you couldn't do that fast enough. So we said, let's go to where the people are. Where are they? Sometimes we had to pay a stipend. The boat show was going on. We paid them an amount. We got there. Most of the time we didn't. We just had to show up because whoever was there was a Seahawk fan. And they would sign it. We also said, how's it going to get better? Well, the first year we collected those signatures. This year we said, if you'll upload a photograph, we'll get it on that banner. And we signed up with Guinness to figure out if we could have the largest mosaic of Seahawk fans or of sports fans together. That didn't work out because they all didn't wear their jerseys. It had to be a jerseyed fan. But nevertheless, that was a pretty amazing thing. And would we join or create? And here's the really important part. Would we create a conversation? And the answer was no. We'll join the conversation. We won't interrupt the conversation. We'll join the conversation. So the community was in conversation on all the social platforms, on all the news channels, on all of the places that you might expect. How would we join the conversation instead of trying to create one? Something part of an insurance story, it pretty much applies to any insurance company, is our customers, they ask me, what's my elevator speech? I say, well, my elevator speech is I work in an industry people don't understand. I sell a product they don't want to buy. After they own it, they don't want to use it because they can only win by losing. Okay, when they call us, they're not having a good day. They don't want to talk about insurance. Okay, that's how that works. The other thing I had to do in that Challenger Brands, we had to use what we already knew. People asked me, why are you guys diving in when no other insurance company is into social in 2006 and 7? And I didn't really know why, except for that I knew that it was going to be important. And it was the things we learned in 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11 that enabled us to have a place to be social when we really needed it. So we used what we knew. We didn't have time to build new muscle. If somebody else would have said, oh man, let's put up a Facebook page, let's get a Twitter account, let's get something going on Pinterest in the next couple of weeks, we can probably discount that altogether. So plan for your future today. We remembered and learned the power of the hashtag. The hashtag, like for this event, but for our event, was the 12 banner. And we had an inside network. We used Yammer on the inside as a closed network. And we knew that we weren't going to get our banner to all of our offices so all of our employees would be able to sign it. But remember, that culture of participation and inclusion required that we figure out a way. So we told them, if you use the internal network and use the hashtag 12 banner, we'll put your name on there for you. And things started to happen. The internal network started to light up. Please add my name, please add my name, please add my name. Then an employee said, I have family who are in this troop in Afghanistan. Please add the whole troop's name. Then the CMO said, I've got these family, I'd like to have these ride. Then people started talking about what they were seeing and the pride they were having and what we were doing. The pride was something that was really important to us. And seeing our company in a very positive light. And the team knew really quickly we have to be flexible. Let's take that hashtag and take it to the outside. Let's tell people anywhere that they don't have to come to one of our events. They can simply use the hashtag and they can get their name on the banner. Wow, that was a big idea. That was an in-the-moment idea. And it started to roll in. People from all over the place, the Twitter started to light up, Facebook started to light up. People were starting to say, hey, I'm in Southern California, I need my name on there. I live outside of Seattle, I need my name on there. Look what happened in the trending. 12 banner was the #1 trending item, even ahead of Gmail going down. You know, and I'm thinking, now that's pretty good. That's pretty good, we like that. The next year, the hashtag was 12's Fly. Got the same kinds of results. I won't spend too much time on that. So how does the campaign get built? One of the first things that we did, another part of the integrated strategy, was to create a microsite that would let everyone know, go to a landing page that would get them to PEMCO.com, because that wasn't what they, remember, we don't want to change the conversation. We don't want to say, hey, leave the Seahawks, come over and get a quote. We don't want to do that. So how do we get them anywhere near us for quotes? We create a microsite that has what they want to talk about on it. It says, hey, here's how you can find one of those events where you can sign. Here's where you can add your picture to the banner and get it up there. Here's how you can see how we're doing, and we'll keep that current. All right? And then we discovered, in our own backyard, actually, a developer in our own backyard started a company called Tagboard. If you haven't used it, I encourage you to go out there and you can use it on this event. You can go out and just go to @tagboard.com, I mean to www.tagboard.com, and put in any hashtag. So put in hashtag integrate15, and everything that we've tagged so far will come up, whether it's Facebook, Pinterest, Twitter, it'll all be together in one spot. It's an aggregator. Not real hard to do, other people do it, but it's awesome when your people see how much other people are talking about what they're talking about. It fuels the momentum. I wanted to share with you an anecdote. I would have had to backtrack to do it, but I'll just share with you. When I was in that game, the Green Bay game, I was watching the game. And I'm standing there and we're down 10 with just a minute or two left to go. The team had already had to order and contract for software that would upload pictures to a banner. That was a $20,000 investment. And I'm going like, oh, this can't be good. This can't be good because we're not going to be using that software. And then I was reminded, well, not only did we have to do that, we had to order the banner. And the banner was a $60,000, 12,000 square foot banner that wasn't returnable. It wasn't like you could put away on layaway. And I'm thinking, man, Russell Wilson, you got to get your act together real fast. But that all came to fruition, and it showed a little something. I guess the part is that even with data, even with the best intentions, there's a place where you have to go with your gut. There's a place where you have to put it all out there. There's a part where you're not just a marketer, you're a business person. And you have to decide to do something, because not doing something will get nothing done. You have to take a chance. The last little piece was what's there right now. It's been up there resident since the Super Bowl. Everybody who uploaded can go out there and click on this and they can find their picture. And they can enlarge it and find their picture. And we've had a lot of people have fun with that. The promotion itself did very traditional things, again, in an integrated way. Did the normal media alerts, the public relations side. We did signage for events. We knew that the people on air, especially sports talk and news talk stations, wanted to talk about the Seahawks, so they like donuts, so we did donut drops, and we took donuts out to them and told them our story, and we created a radio spot. I'll give you one more to listen to.
Here in the Northwest, we're proud of our questionable fashion choices. Football season is no different. We just trade in our socks and sandals for something a little louder. So to celebrate the Seahawks making it to the big game, PEMCO doesn't want you 12s just to be heard. We want you to be seen, which is why we've made our biggest 12 banner yet. And in addition to your signatures, we're covering it with 24,000 of your photos and flying it over Arizona for the biggest weekend in football. That way you'll be there, even if you can't make it. So whether you're in head-to-toe body paint or that jersey you haven't washed since 2005, visit PEMCO.com/Seahawks to submit your photo and find out how you can sign the banner. Because hey, if your techno Viking from the Planet 12 ensemble doesn't scream repeat, well, we don't know what does. PEMCO, we're a lot like you, a little blue and green. PEMCO Mutual Insurance Company, Seattle, Washington.
So we used all of the traditional and some of the new as we went into this campaign. One thing that I didn't want to leave out was the importance of partnership. Our business doesn't have retail stores, but our business does have independent agents that represent us. Here's two examples where we were able to partner with people in our network of partnerships and ask them to gather signatures. And they did at their office, they did at a local mall where they were working in Eastern Washington we wouldn't have otherwise gotten to. So again, thinking outside the box just a little bit is to not how you can do it yourself, but how you can entrust others to work with you. And did I mention the risk? I did. But one risk that I hadn't considered was that the banner wouldn't fly. We were in Seattle, and the plan was to fly it over Seattle before we took it to Arizona. And that was the day that it looked like. So we had an awful lot of fog, and we couldn't get the helicopter off the ground for as long as we had before we had to get that into the plane and take it down to Arizona. So we had to be action-oriented, and part of what we had to do is just talk about when it's time to say we're sorry. Hey, all of you that signed it and we're looking forward to seeing it fly, you're going to have to watch for it in another way because we can't get it up there. We wanted to keep communication open. We wanted to accelerate through those disappointments. And when we're taking risk, know that we just didn't want to shoot ourselves in the foot. And we could have waited too long and not made it to the big game. This is some of the editorial and samples of TV clips that we were able to generate because of what we were doing on the front end. And they just kept coming and coming. We were invited into television interviews. We were followed on radio. The events themselves were followed. The people who were signing were talked with. The story started to build a life. The story of the story was pretty big in our market. This was from the first Super Bowl, and I thought this one was kind of a proud moment because this was a Fox television poster of the NFL season for that year. And if you had this up close, you could see all of the cast of characters who made headlines that year. And in particular, you can see Marshawn Lynch under his rainbow Skittles on top of the mountain, and you can see Peyton Manning, sitting next door. But what I really like about it is Fox saw the banner. And the banner's up in the left-hand corner in their national poster for the year. Now, could have got the logo a little bigger, I guess, but it's nice to be there. All of that local impression that I just showed you that flashed by was 4.9 million media impressions. And that, it may not sound a lot if you're Flo or if you're Mayhem, but if you're PEMCO, it's the right 4.9 million. It's hyper-local, close to our community. It's the 4.9 million that we care about. We got a bonus. In the NFL pregame show, this just kept showing up. That just kept showing up and showing up and showing up, and they love to talk about it. And for that, I didn't even ask our PR firm to calculate it. Let's just do the American Express or Visa thing or whoever it was and say it's priceless. But it was. In terms of word of mouth, that was part of where I came in, was word-of-mouth marketing. It generated a ton of buzz. People from all walks of life in all different ways started talking about it. The Shermanator showed up, fans from all the place. We learned that if we tweeted, it would get retweeted on about a basis of 12 to 1. So we kept our mentions going. As I said, Meow Sean Lynch showed up. People from all over the globe started to write in. In this case, we had Mama Sherman came to one of our events. Local television celebrities came in. There's people from London. There's people from Ireland. There's people from Arizona and other parts of the United States that wrote in. So this little Northwest company was creating a buzz. Now, one of the other things that I liked about this initial presentation this morning is that we're really on sync. I have a model that I usually roll out when I have more time called awareness to advocacy. And it talks about the importance of putting your marketing on the front end to build that awareness and that consideration. A lot of marketers used to end right around the consideration and selection place, and you heard that this morning. But I would say that it even goes farther than that now. That after that, you get people who build loyalty and then build referral marketing. And after referral, where a lot of people stop today, we take it one step further and we go to advocacy. And my definition of advocacy is the people who will defend you when you're not in the room. Think of it on a personal basis. Someone says something about a friend of yours, but the friend isn't there to hear it. Will you step up and be their advocate? Will you say, well, that doesn't sound like the person I know? That's what we want to build. We want to build brand advocates that will defend you when you're not there. Because the room is huge. The room is the world. The room is the internet. Now here's an example of an advocate where a local television reporter said, hey, look what's going on at the Space Needle. They've got a banner. People are going to sign the banner. We're going to send it with the team. Now this happened 5 days after we were doing our banner thing. So an advocate comes out and says, well, guess what? Too bad. PEMCO did that first. We didn't have to be the ones. Another different station, another guy gets up. You can't see that, so I'll make it bigger. That's the 12th man flag flying above MetLife. Go Hawks. Well, he did everything right except for he used the wrong hashtag. And so another advocate comes in and says, hey, that's the PEMCO 12 banner. There are over 15,000 signatures on there. That's what you call advocacy, when people will speak on your behalf. So how did it go? The metrics that we talked about this morning, now we have data. And this is Super Bowl 48. We did have 14,150 real firm signatures. I thought, maybe you did too, that when we opened the door to virtual signatures with the hashtag, that would be the bigger number. It wasn't. About 1,200 of those. We had 1 million social media impressions. We had 6,300 unique visitors to our website. You can read the numbers. This was a particularly wonderful post that the Seahawks made. It got 30,000 likes by itself before it was moved into other people's locations. This happened to be an internal post that our technical leader wrote, and he was giving the Valentine to the marketing department because you see that blip? That was the week of the banner. That's when the website got, that was the sites that they got. It was an all-time record for number of visitors to PEMCO.com, and we didn't ask anybody to come and buy insurance. We never asked them once. We just made the conversation about what they wanted to have, and they came and took a look. The next year it got better. We were pulling that bigger banner around. We had 8.9 million impressions. We had that many engagements. You can see 107,000 unique visitors to the website. 22,400 photos got posted. So was it a success? And what did we learn? Well, the things I would ask for you to take away from this story is that scale does matter. But most people talk about how you're going to scale things up. Where's your good idea that you can make great? In this case, I would say if you're a challenger brand and you're on the world's biggest stage for sporting events, we had to figure out how to scale it down. How do we take a worldwide, international mega event and make it important in Washington State and get the benefit there? How do we do that? So think global but act local. The amplify. Now remember I talked about culture. If you don't have it on the inside, you can't live it on the outside. There's spirit and pride. Figure a way to amplify that spirit and pride. Get the employee base involved. Work them into your social. Be courageous. Go with what you know. It's not all about learning new things in the moment. It's taking what you know, build that on that experience that you have. Be prepared, learn it now, be ready for what you don't know yet so that you can do what you haven't planned when the time comes. And by all means, do something. Big believer that in a lot of cases, ready, fire, aim, adjust is the right strategy. Because so many times I've watched people go ready, aim, aim, adjust, ready, aim, aim, and you just want to know, are they ever going to pull the trigger? So a little ready, fire, aim never hurts. Communication within the team and across the organization and into the community is absolutely critical. When you're doing so much to promote something out, don't forget to keep your team and your organization informed of what you're doing. We found a number of places where intersections weren't well communicated with that could have been detrimental to our success, but we were able to fix it in a hurry. Leveraging what exists can trump creating things that are new. And that's what I meant when I said we've got a community who's rabid about the Seahawks. We can go anywhere they are and get signatures. We don't have to create an event for them to come to us. And really important, because a lot of times we get talking about social engagement and integrated media and we forget that offline WOM, word of mouth, matters. Face to face, what's said among people in the room together, at an event together, in a church together, at a PTA meeting together, in a grocery store together, that matters. How do you leverage face to face, word of mouth? And from year to year, we learned that if we introduced new content on multiple days and had video clips, had editorial content, had stories about the story we were creating, we could sustain those web visits longer. You can see what happened in 14, you can see what happened in 15. So again, I think we heard it earlier today, I'll say it again, measure what matters and pay attention to what you measure. One last video for you.
Concept all the way to the very end.
This banner project was much bigger than last year. In fact, we even called this bigger and bolder because it was much larger. Last year we incorporated signatures. This year we incorporated signatures and photos.
The photos really made it personal. Not only signatures on the banner, but images of people.
A lot more complex, but a lot cooler.
This was a project that was all about our uniquely Northwest position in the market. A way that we could let people know that we're the hometown insurance carrier without talking about insurance.
Most fans aren't able to go to the Super Bowl, and so the banner project was a way for us to bring a lot of the 12s to the Super Bowl and support the team.
Signing the flag makes you feel honored to be a part of this whole organization.
We could take the banner out to where people were, and they rallied around it. They came looking for it. They stood in line to participate. They cheered while others were gathering around it. So in terms of this as an advertising project, it didn't start out to be, but it turned out to be one of the best ways we could spend our money at that time in that place to reach that many people. Despite the outcome of the game, yeah, we were pleased. We had high social media sharing. In fact, better than 2014. It just blew the doors down. The number of people who commented, the amount of engagements that we had with people liking our pages, it was like a factor of something like 600% improvement over our biggest days ever.
Created a lot of buzz and a lot of excitement.
TV, radio, national television. It usually doesn't happen, but we hope for it. And I think it was just great residual benefit, something that gave the people of the Northwest a real sense of pride, something that has my name or my picture on it, and it's flying on at a pregame show prior to the Super Bowl.
People wanted to share with their friends, hey, that's my picture on that banner. My picture's on there and my signature too, and that thing's actually flying over Phoenix right now.
One of the things that isn't often acknowledged in a project like this is how many hands have to touch it to make it work. Everything we did, whether it was social media, whether it was the events team, even getting the banner up in the air, was because we had partnerships. It's a great organization of organizations. So it's not just what's seen in the air, well, that's a very, very proud moment. It's what's recorded and shared, and the number of visits and the number of likes that come afterward. And we're actually even planning beyond that, so that we could say, well, we didn't get to have that victory parade, where it might have flown this year, but there's always an opening day, and there's always a fan base. And if we can get that baby back up in the air and fly it one more time, I'm sure the city of Seattle and the communities around here will really love it.
So thank you. It's a real honor to be here, and appreciate being invited to come out from Seattle to talk with you about integrated marketing. And I chose to tell a story about where you can see marketing being integrated, as opposed to creating lesson plans about how to do each step. I wonder if there might be any questions or observations you'd like to make. We've got a couple of minutes. Yeah.
We've tried with several clients to go with the approach of don't make a sale, don't talk about your business, talk about things related to your business. Works great for social media. The client gets itchy when the sales don't get impacted though. So I'm curious, all of your metrics are about content sharing, social media, but how was PEMCO impacted in terms of sales?
Okay, the question for those who might not have heard it was, how were sales actually impacted, as opposed to just the foundational part of awareness and interaction? I can tell you that sales went up quite well in both cases. Those visits to the websites turned out to be, and people don't throw the baby in the bathwater and buy insurance. You know, they buy it when they need it. Actually, I like to say they buy it when they're PO squared, priced out or pissed off by the other guy. But in this case, what we did find is residual value that people drew that line to. Now, I will also say that that's not why we did it. We didn't do it to sell a lot of insurance in the week or two after the Super Bowl. We did it to prove that we were the different insurance carrier who understood our customer and that we got it. And for that, there was a lot of evidence that we did the right thing. So you do have what we call it marathons and sprints. And I'd say we were sprinting a little bit, but mostly we were running the marathon on this particular case. I think you had a question?
I did. That was the first part of it. The second part was, did you do any follow-up to see if there was any residual increase in awareness of your brand?
We haven't yet. We have a plan to go back into the market. We wanted to wait at least 6 months to go back out and say, here's where we were at, and here's where we have been. So we probably could fill that in the next few months, but no, we haven't yet. The question was, did we do any research to see how our residual value of awareness? Yes, ma'am.
I assume that your team size is 12, but if it's not,
I'm sorry, I got to hear
I
this.
assume your team size is 12. But if it's not, I'm wondering, is this all done internal, or do you have like external agencies that you work with to pull it off?
You know, it is really kind of funny because I hadn't even thought about that. There are 12 of us. There actually is. There was 11, and we had hired one just recently. There was 12, and I'm the 12th. But that's right. We do have, but that's a small team, really. That's really actually a fairly small team for the size company that we are, about a $500 million company. And so what we really do is we had two fundamental philosophies. We will be the best at what we choose to do ourselves. Strategy, a lot of our communication. We will hire the best at what we choose not to do ourselves. So we have used boutique agencies. I'm not a believer that there's really much left of the full service agency. All my agency buddies don't like me for that. But they started out being really good at something, and then they added skills to it. And it usually doesn't make them better. So we hire for the core competency that they came to the party with in the first place. And so we have 4 or 5 partners that we work with on specific elements of campaigning. Yeah. Is there anyone else? Yeah, there's a couple more.
I was just curious, as far as funding it, because you actually have independent insurance brokers or franchisees, whatever you call them. Did you have to go to them and say, we want to do this idea and I need $1,200 from each of you? Or I just was wondering how you financed
Great
it.
question. She asked about how we involved our partners, whether we had to get funding from them, how we sold it in. We're kind of a unique breed. We sell both ways. We sell direct, so people can call us and we just sell it direct. Or we have independent agents and they represent us like they do some of the other competitors. We go completely the opposite of what your gut might have said. We said, here's what we're going to do. We'd like to give you some money if you will support it. We'd like to give you some co-op money. We'd like to help you with a local event if you'd like to participate. If you want to create a radio spot, we'll help you pay for some of the time. And so that's how some of those partners came out, was they said, yeah, we want to be a part of that. So some people charge, we invest. Any other question? One here.
I was just wondering, when you were having the conversation about this, was there a conversation going on with your team about making sure that PEMCO stayed part of it and it didn't just become Seattle's banner?
Yeah. The question was, were we rigorous and across the team about being making sure PEMCO stayed connected to the banner project and it wasn't just Seattle's banner? And the answer was absolutely yes. That we wanted to make sure we owned the mark, that we owned the position, that we had something that was reasonably protected, and by being out first. But we didn't see anyone other than, the little bit of Space Needle stuff kind of encroach on it. And it's kind of hard to get mad at the city's landmark. So we didn't, we liked that other people called them out, but we weren't going to be that person. So yeah, we did though. It's very important that if you're going to start something, that you find a way to stay connected to it. I think people kind of expect it now. Yes, ma'am.
Were there any revenue or reputation metrics associated with this?
Revenue or reputation metrics. In terms of brand awareness, brand loyalty, and reputation, we measure all that stuff every 6 months. That's the one I'm going to be looking at in the future. But we do have every reason to believe that those will be higher. What we do have is J.D. Power started measuring satisfaction on a regional level 2 years ago. PEMCO has won that both times. That beat all of our national competition as the most satisfying. So we do think there's some reputation lift that we've gotten from both of these. In terms of revenue, that kind of goes to the question that was asked earlier. We weren't striving to get immediate sales, but we are seeing a trend that we're having accelerated sales now 4 to 6 months after the fact. So that's about the best I can do. It is important for brands to have an understanding of what part of their marketing is supposed to do what job. If it's supposed to drive leads, then you measure that. If it's supposed to drive awareness, then you measure that. If it's supposed to create engagement, you measure that. And this one was more about engagement and community and awareness. And the residual benefit is going to be that long-term revenue line. Yes, ma'am.
Did you encounter any problems with the NFL, or did you find in your idea generation process that you encroached on any copyright issues, or I'm not seeing Seattle logos on any of your stuff? Can you just speak to how you approach that?
Yeah, great question. She asked, did we have any issues with the NFL logos, trademarks, that kind of stuff? Well, here's the deal. We flew it over the big game.
Right.
Okay? We flew it over the big game. The commercial that you heard, everything you heard, we didn't do this at a Super Bowl. We did it at the big game because the NFL owns the rights to the words the Super Bowl. And we would have gotten in trouble if we had said the Super Bowl. We are a sponsor of the local Seattle Seahawks. That gave us a partnership right. We did have to get permission to use their stylized number 12 on the banner. And And if we wanted to say something like "Go Hawks" or something like that, they gave us permission. They really embraced it because we were doing something they didn't have time to do. So that was it's kind of funny, right? They've been in the league for 35 years and they hadn't planned for what they would do if they ever made it to a Super Bowl. But you know, maybe there's something in that. I think I'm probably used up a little more than my time. But I really want to say thank you again. I appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed some of it and got something from it. Thanks again.